Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Devon Hales about Icon, which is going to be available in North America starting August 1st. Welcome back to the show. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you, PD Beats. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're a two-time guest now. Last time we spoke about Teenage Bounty Hunters, and now this film is so great, so fun. Coming of age, slice of life, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of the characters. I mean, I feel like reading the script for this, you're going to be instantly gripped. Is that safe to say that was the case?
Absolutely, yeah. I was interested. Yeah, as soon as I got the audition sides, even like way before I saw the script. So, yeah.
It's interesting, too, because when did you officially shoot this film?
So I shot this actually not that long after Bounty Hunters wrapped. Okay. So, which is crazy. I shot my part in December of 2019. So it's been a little while now.
That's really crazy. When did it start kind of sinking in that, like, because of COVID, like, projects would take a little longer to come out? Like, was it like after Teenage Bounty Hunters came out where you're like, oh man, like a lot of these projects might be in the can for quite some time?
No, I mean, it was even getting Teenage Bounty Hunters to get out like that was the indication that, oh, this is going to be a little longer. And so for an indie film, which usually take a little longer anyway, and I think most like ours did, you have to get, the movie itself done, and then you hit the festival circuit, and then you try to get it sold. So it's a longer process anyway. But to think it's been like, what, 2.5 years now? It's just...
I remember also when we did the interview for Teenage Bounty Hunters, it wasn't like that long. Like, I mean, I think the show was out like for 4 days or something. Like, it was so crazy.
Yeah, we were still sort of, in a whirlwind of what's going on. And trying to figure out how to use Twitter. It was wild.
I find it interesting too, because it just blows my mind how quick it was. Like, it was just the reception of it was so fast. You know what I mean? It wasn't even a week.
I know. It was a very, very cool time in my life. I will never forget it. It was a whirlwind. And then also, like, before you knew it, it was kind of over too. And it was like, what just happened? Was it real?
It was emotional. It was an emotional time for sure. And you look at this film, your character is doing a lot of self-reflection, a lot of soul-searching, and I find that interesting because we just talked about that. During the pandemic, we've been doing a lot of soul-searching and self-reflection because we've had a lot of time to do so. So I'm curious if you, like, connected the dots a little bit, what I just said. Like, did you think about that a little bit? Like, once the film was, like starting to get released, it's like, wow, like, my character is doing a lot of soul-searching. That's all we've been doing for, like, 3 years.
Yeah, definitely, especially since I find myself still very much in a soul-searching way of being right now. Like, that did not end with the brunt of the pandemic. But I mean, there are obviously a lot of interesting parallels right now with this film and real life. She's thinking about what she wants her life to be, because obviously this choice, sort of disproportionately affects her and her body and her whole identity, whatever the choice is being made. So lots of soul searching for Anna. And obviously, we're in a time now where there's some other parallels about choice and that whole issue. So.
I mean, adding to that, I mean, there's no debate. This is a very important movie. Like, you just
and we couldn't have, I don't think anybody could have predicted that this is where we would be now. So, the idea of choice, especially for young people, is interesting in any time. But to have it released right now in a totally different political climate, and when we are fighting so hard for choice, nobody could have foreseen that. So
when you were contemplating and figuring out, when you were deciding to be like a storyteller and like working on TV and film and everything, was that kind of one of the things that came to mind in terms of priorities, in terms of being able to, act and, transform into all these different worlds, but also like be part of really important stories that we need to address important issues? Like, was that one thing kind of on top of your mind as well?
I mean, I don't I would love to say yes, but I don't think anybody that is the hope, but that's not, I didn't have enough confidence in myself, I don't think, to be like, well, I'm only going to tell these important stories, or I'm even going to get the chance to work on material that has something to say in the larger cultural context. I have been so fortunate to work on Bounty Hunters and to work on this, where then I get to engage with a larger audience and have a conversation about how art and our world intersect. So it is a huge privilege, but no, I can't sit here and say that like, oh yes, that was my plan all along. So.
No, I feel like it just kind of happens. I don't feel like you just, I feel like projects come up, you know, you talk to directors and writers and, you know, you talk to your team, and then you kind of feel like what's right, what projects are good. And a lot of the projects right now that I think are hitting hard, like Icon, are ones that are real, are raising important situations, are showing these real people that a lot of people can relate to. So that's really good that you said that. You mentioned Bounty Hunters, and last time you came on the show, I couldn't ask you this because it was so fresh and we didn't want to do many spoilers, but like... It was so fresh. It was like 4 days. It was crazy. By the way, that interview, if people want to see it, is top 10 most viewed on our YouTube channel. And that's high praise because we have over 2,000 YouTube interviews. And your interviews in the top 10, 20,000 views. So that's unreal. But I don't know if like I didn't look into a lot of the social media reaction as much, but like your character, Maddie's character, like, when I watched the first couple of episodes, like, I don't know if I was just, like, not paying attention, but I had no idea you guys were gonna, like, fall in love and be a couple. You know what I mean? Like, that really kind of caught me off guard, like, in the room with, like, the first kiss and everything like that. Was that the reaction you got from a lot of people, or did people kind of know that it was gonna...
I think there is a subset of our sort of queer fandom who we love, who have like laser focus and just sort of have the lesbian spider sense.
Yeah.
So I think some people picked up on it, but most people, it seemed from the reaction that we found online, had no
idea. And I was kind of like, I was thinking more like maybe they'll be friends and they'll help each other out, but like, and then it happens in the library, and I'm like, oh my god, like why was this not on the radar like at all? You know what I mean?
Which is super fun because that's kind of how it happened for us too as actors. Like we were both very curious about where our storylines were going to go, but that is not what we anticipated. It was such a beautiful surprise. So the fact that fans got to have that experience of that surprise was very fun, since it sort of mirrored our experience.
And also it's funny because I went and rewatched our first interview, just kind of like prep for this one a little bit too. I like going back and kind of seeing and like getting the vibe ready and everything. But like we didn't really talk about like the love story component. We talked about the fact that you like hated each other. So people are probably watching that interview being like, man, like what?
Because all that stuff earlier on, we were like, how much do we say? How much do we give away? Because I don't want to steal that surprise from people.
We didn't talk about the love story at all. We just talked about, I was like, you guys really don't like each other. What was that?
It's like, yeah, sort of.
That was so great. Oh no, that was great. Get back to this movie and everything. What's the mindset like? Because I do like the whole thing what you said about it being a very real film, and there's a lot of important issues, and it's very like timely right now. What is that mindset preparation wise, knowing that instantly when we meet your character in Icon, she is dealing with a lot of situations where she has to make a lot of decisions, and things are a bit groggy. Things are pretty complex. So like, does the mindset change a little bit compared to working on something like Teenage Bounty Hunters, or like is it just the same? Is it all storytelling?
I think for some people who maybe have a little bit of a different or a more concrete process than I do, maybe the mindset is a little different, but I'm a little more go with the flow. And I think we did get to start with some material in the script. We got to shoot chronologically a little bit through the story. So we did start with a lot of the more lovey-dovey, easier stuff at the beginning when, they're just two young people in love. And then obviously we get into the more difficult decisions and conversations later. But I think anytime you are working on a new project and in sort of an unfamiliar environment and with new people, your brain is a little bit there already just because you're trying to get to know these people and I want to do a good job. And so you can find the pressure pretty easily in your own experience. And obviously all the folks who worked on this film were amazing. I had a great time. But you can tap into the pressure, I think, when you need to.
Is it refreshing to be able to work on two projects that are completely different in regards to the fact that Icon kind of knows what it is identity wise? I feel like it's a coming of age, slice of life, romantic, and then you work on Teenage Bounty Hunters, and some people are still trying to figure out what that was.
Yeah, it's amazing. That back half of 2019 was such. I was thinking about this morning, was such an exciting time in my life because I got to do Bounty Hunters, which was a surprise from the beginning to the end. And I didn't even really, because I'd never worked on something at that level before, you don't even really have a concept of what it's going to be or how it's going to be received. So it's just a wild ride. And then I got to do a play in between that was something totally absurd. And then I got to go shoot this film that, was sort of a more grounded character and a little grittier story and very, like you said, slice of life. So as an actor, that is like a dream 6 months to just have all of those experiences.
I don't know if this ship has completely sailed. I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm just going to look at the camera and be like, Bounty Hunter fans, I mean, you know what to do. Watch this interview and let's get a season. Let's get back on track and let's get a season 2. Yeah, I know.
Look, we were so tickled because obviously, as everybody knows, that ship has very much
it's gone.
Sailed. It is no longer even on the horizon. It's across the world.
You can't even see it or hear it from miles.
No, it's hard to remember that a ship was even there to begin with. But there was a tweet the other day that was some clip of Maddie and Spencer from the beginning of the show, I think when they're in the car, kind of like the opening scene. Mm-hmm. A tweet the other day that went semi-viral, and it had to be shown, one of my friends showed it to me. And it was crazy because it wasn't just it really was not just Bounty Hunters fans that found it. It was people who had no concept of what the show even was. And it's just fun when it pops back up.
Well, it started getting on a lot of recommendation lists when Heartstopper came out and Young Royals. It was on all those lists, right?
We've made made lists as of 2 months ago. So it's wild. It's so beautiful.
No, and getting back to Icon as well. Do you ever think about that as well? That, people know you in Teenage Bounty Hunters, and it's oh, cool, new Devon Hales project and everything. I feel you don't really think about those things, eh? Teenage Bounty Hunter fans maybe watching Icon. Does that just kind of happen, do you think, or?
I don't know. Yeah. The fandom that I have been dropped into and I'm so grateful to be a part of made it clear from the very beginning that once we love you, we stay with you forever. It's ride or die, and it doesn't matter the project. Mm-hmm. So I have seen a lot of that on Twitter, and I still interact with a lot of fans on Instagram, and I've been able to share Icon stuff on there. Yep. And so I don't know, I think a lot of people are very excited to see it. Yeah. And I'm grateful because, like you said, it is such a different project, and my character is so different. But I still feel a lot of love on the internet.
It's such a great film, Icon. I really want people to see it. I can't wait for them to see it. August 1st can be available digitally and on demand throughout North America. Devon, thank you so much for coming back on Popternative. It was so great catching up.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again. Your Instagram is devonhales.jpg.
That's correct.
I remember that because I'm going to be honest, like I do the plug at the end of every interview. That's like one of the coolest Instagram handles of all time. I just want to say that. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. You can catch Devon Hales and Icon, going to be available for all North America August 1st. And PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.